we can no longer travel by road in our own country. In fact, when your relative or anybody that is close to you attempts to do that, you will be in prayers until such a person arrives. It is because of this situation that men agreed to give up their sovereignty and set up a government. It is that sovereignty that Nigerians have given up that has brought only 360 men together to sit here and ensure that we protect the lives and property of all Nigerians. Let me quickly refer us to our constitutional provision, section 14, subsection 2B, which provides the essence, the purport, and the purpose of government. That is protection of lives and property of citizens. In so doing, as a Christian, I will further refer you to a Bible quotation. I'll take you to Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, which tells us that we are the salt of the earth. But the Bible says that if a salt loses its saltness, of what use is it? It is good to be trampled upon. It becomes useless and no longer salt. I use this to analyze, considering our major function. And by the way, remember, my dear colleagues, that government, elementary government is made up of three arms: the executive, the legislature, where we fall in, and the judiciary. So when we talk about government, we are fully involved as members of the executive arm. And so when we point one finger, 4 points at us. First, if we cannot protect the lives and property of Nigerians as enshrined in our Constitution, are we worthy to continue to sit as a parliament? I'm not saying that all hopes are lost. No. There is room for remedy. But we must see this as a national tax and be selfless about it. This is no time for religion. This is no time for political party. This is the time for us to talk about our own lives and existence. We are given opportunity out of a country of over 200 million, as we have in the figures, which might not also be correct because of lack of data, or adequate data in our country. And you are among 360 that is saddled with the responsibility. How well have you performed that responsibility? That's the question that we are called upon to ask ourselves this morning. Insecurity is ravaging the entire country. Yes, the world is becoming a global village. And so if we are unable to secure our country, other countries will be concerned because they will be affected. If Nigeria is classed as a country of particular concern, as a parliament, I think what we are gathered here this morning is to seek for solution to remove Nigeria from that classification. And I pray that the Almighty will give us the wisdom to achieve that. Now, looking at the causes of insecurity in our country, first I will caution us that we must eschew completely the disunity that appears to be breeding, whether there is genocide, religious genocide, or not. We begin to look at it from the angle of Christians and Muslims. to whose advantage? When we are not united, to whose benefit? Is it in our own interest? We cannot fight this battle without unity. We cannot also succeed in this battle if we deny obvious facts. Let me start by asking, are there religious killings in Nigeria? The answer is yes. But is that the major cause of insecurity in our country? The answer is also no. Whilst there are religious killings, it will amount to painting the insecurity issue with a single brush to say that that is the only reason why we have insecurity. Today in our country, you have the economic aspect of insecurity, where people, for economic reasons, will attack communities, kill, maim, displace entire community in order to access the wealth that is within that place. And that's why you can see displaced areas. People live in IDP. Economic operation is going on there. As a government, do we say that we are not aware? And what are we doing? What about the political aspect? Incidentally, we find ourselves in that field. We are all politicians. Because we want to assume political power. We want to do everything to displace the opponent. You make the entire government ungovernable. Bring in people from outside the shores of this country because our borders are porous. We only have boundaries on the map. On ground, Nigeria lacks clear boundaries. They are not protected, they are open. We bring them in to strengthen us politically. And managing them thereafter became a problem. There is the political angle to it. And we must tell ourselves the truth. So that if we are managing the problems, we know how to manage them. And like I have said, you also have the religious angle. There are religious bodies, the ISIS or ISWAP and all that. They are not sent by Nigerians, but they have their target, they have their own vision. Perhaps their belief. All you need to do is to not to remove the doctrination that they have already. Because they could believe in that yes, anybody that is not a Muslim must be killed. If that is their belief, and they are convinced, we need to do a reorientation to change that belief. My dear colleagues, the tax is Herculean, very heavy, because we cannot pretend that we do not have insecurity problems in this country. And the solution ought to come from us, all of us seated here, not from Nigerians outside here. But we must own up to the truth. How well are we doing? How well are we tackling this problem? When I hear people praise government is doing well. Are we sincere? Government is still sleeping. Nothing fundamental has been done. Nothing. We cannot continue with the fire brigade approach. Must we wait until our children are kidnapped before we take steps? And when 20 are kidnapped, we recover 2. We beat our chest that we are achieving. What about the 18? Dear colleagues, we recall, there is no week that this chamber has not discussed the issue of insecurity. Not 1 week without a motion on insecurity. And at the end of the day, all we do is observe 1 minute silence. I think that the time has come for us to unite, if not as a country, as parliamentarians. Remove the toga of religion, remove the toga of political parties, and wear the toga of Nigeria. Whoever is affected should not be our concern, but we must salvage our country. We must salvage ourselves. We must begin to go home freely. We must find solution to ensure that Nigerians sleep with their two eyes closed. Firstly, let me suggest that the time has come for us to start looking at having a national border force. We should. When we hear countries talk about fencing their borders, sometimes we laugh. It passes with the speed of light to begin to protect our borders. Not just by physical protection. Like I said, the world is a global village today. There are technologies that will help us. A border force that is based on technology.
Honorable David, please can you find your seat? Honorable David, Kalambaina. Honorable Badao, please can you find your seat? Honorable Gadi, please find your seat. Honorable Gadi, please.
We also have before us the Constitution amendment that is going on. Security is prominent. My dear colleagues, we don't have an option than to go back to community policing or state policing. We must begin to secure our country from every community. From every community. And as a parliament, we must also begin to rise to our oversight functions. We must begin to stand our grounds. In the interest of our people.
Honorable Sada, Honorable Zainab Gimba, please can you approach the chair?
And our own interest. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, a lot more on the issue of insecurity, which we cannot perhaps say facing the camera. So let us invite all the security chiefs, all, and have a closed-door meeting with them, where we can clearly talk to them, tell them the feelings of Nigerian people, ask for facts and figures, take decisions that will have strong legislative backing. You will recall that in the past, we have had to give timelines. I will say, as a member of parliament, that my heart is heavy and bleeds for Nigeria. I'm not happy. I see it as divine that we are all called to serve at this time. Because I asked why? Why at this time? But we are called to serve at this time, and we should take the challenge. We have the ability. We have the ability to solve this problem. We have the ability to make the difference, but we must remove tribe, religion, selfishness, pride, and anything that will prevent us from succeeding.